It's been a long time, but finally we're back with more Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power news. Okay, you thought we were finished, but we're not.
I wasn't expecting that, genuinely. You caught me a bit off guard there.
Welcome back to The Watch, and I know you've all been anxiously waiting for another Rings of Power video because clearly we don't do enough here, but we're back. And it's not so much Rings of Power as it is just Lord of the Rings and...
Or Tolkien stuff.
And Tolkienist, basically.
Yeah.
So Warner Brothers have recently announced that they want to do more movies.
As a kid, I used to love Warner Brothers movies. They were just so good. There were so many. Now these days... I get a little bit intrepidous when I hear that.
Yes.
Because they own a lot of properties that I love. And they don't do justice to them. In the slightest.
They never do.
Yeah, DC's in shambles at the moment.
Harry Potter has not... Like, Dumbledore's whole prequel series has been... Yep.
They also have the rights to Lord of the Rings, meaning that they can do stuff within that narrow field. Which is still terrifying, to be honest. It's like I'm worried.
You're worried. Well, let's get into some of the facts and information here.
But before we do that, remember to support us on Patreon, Utreon, a whole bunch of things. They should be down
Odyssey,
here.
there's links in the description. We've got a little... Because I know everyone's always like, why aren't you on this thing instead? We are. We are. The answer is we are. We just say like the usual ones. Shad has made an effort to make sure that however you want to support us, you can. So please do it.
It'll help support our channel. Helps us make content like this. We're going to be streaming every Thursdays. Thursdays for us. Wednesdays for you guys. Yeah.
Wednesday afternoons.
Nights
around that time.
Yeah. So we're streaming weekly.
Yeah.
Look out for those as well, but let's get into it.
The move to make more movies was announced during Warner Brothers Discovery's investor call on Thursday, as the CEO David Zaslav seeks to assure Wall Street. I just love the corpo speak of like, Wall Street, do not fear, we're going to be making more money. It's all right. You can invest in us. All right, we're making more money. Trust us, please. Basically saying that they want to make more franchises. You know, going back to the glory 2000 days.
He's very much in the franchise game.
Yes.
Harking back to the 2000s glory days when the studio was minting money with Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. In November, Zaslav said he would like to make a deal with the author J.K. Rowling for more Harry Potter, and initially floated the notion of a Lord of the Rings return. It's like, how many terrible things can you say in a second? Just quick fire.
Yeah. And also I'm just thinking of the more modern franchises they've tried to continue.
Yep.
Most notably for me was The Matrix.
Yeah.
That movie was trash. I could not get through that movie. There were some movies where we both went through Kenobi to the end, painfully, heartfully, like it was a struggle, but we made it through. I could not get through how meta the Matrix film was. The other ones were like somewhat meta in different levels.
They're just all so bad. Like when you think about them, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I know that there are some people who didn't like them at the time. There's some people who don't really feel them now. They are objectively a masterpiece.
Yes.
People universally love those things. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter films, there's criticisms, you can say whatever, but for the most part, people are pretty nostalgic about them and people like them.
I'll be honest with you. I think Harry Potter is probably one of the best book to movie adaptations of all time.
That's fair.
Like Narnia, they skip books, they miss out, they change things a lot. Where Harry Potter, they basically condense things very well. Very well. They've done a very good job. It's very like Hunger Games. I remember reading the books and then watched the first movie and I was like, wow, this is really bad. And so I think it's more disheartening for us having these franchises and movies, which they did a really good job back in the early days of doing.
Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, banger. Except for the last one, I wasn't feeling the last one. But even then, it was alright.
If you compare the last Batman movie to like any of the MCU stuff we had in the last like 10 years,
I don't want to think that hard right now. But yeah, I get what you're saying. That's fine. But the first two, bangers.
Awesome. Great. Like WB has had a heyday and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it. But why are we concerned now of this new reinvigorated appeal to these franchises?
I think what did it, specifically talking about Warner Brothers right now, is the DCU. Because of how much of a cluster that was, they've lost all trust for everything else they do. Yeah. It's like you couldn't handle the DC universe and you've done it so poorly. And even now, people are upset about it. Well, I'm upset about how they're trying to handle it now. That when you say you want to reboot anything, I go, no, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's even the same
I don't want any more, sir.
With the Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah.
They made the Hobbit movies, which were also... okay. Here's the hard thing, right? Sometimes we want to play devil's advocate, but other times I just can't be bothered, okay? Hobbit trilogy...
You know what I love about this? What? When there are films that I don't hate them. I can be like, they are what they are. Because there's so much terrible things coming out lately, a lot of people are looking back and going, okay, it wasn't as bad as that. I objectively don't think the Hobbit trilogy is that bad. Like, if I wanted to sit down with, someone and watch something like light, I think of it like a diet meal. Because watching Lord of the Rings, it's a full course meal. You need to sit down and watch that.
A lot of like carbs and protein and fiber in those films.
When it comes to The Hobbit, it's like Lord of the Rings light. It's the same sort of world, but you don't have to be, you can watch it in the background, you can have it on, like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Especially when you compare it to Rings of Power. So,
which I wouldn't have been able to get through the opening had I not been doing it for a job.
That's fair.
Like,
that's fair.
So again, it's funny. In this article, right, they mention like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, but they ignore DCU, The Hobbit, and The Matrix. And they basically say here that Peter Jackson. They basically say here Peter Jackson. He made the original trilogy. It was a masterpiece. It was fantastic. We love it. We appreciate it. We respect it. We're not touching it. We're not rebooting it.
We're just gonna massage it, probably.
Which. Whenever a company says, we're not going to do this thing, especially when it's about Tolkien's work, Rings of Power, we're staying true to the law. We're not staying true to the law. It's, I don't trust them until I see it.
Yeah.
Realistically. And so, although they're saying they're not going to reboot the franchise, and man, if they did, how would you go about that? You're setting yourself up for failure, because the fact that movie, that trilogy even came out to be the success that it was is a miracle.
What makes me even more angry than like just an outright reboot is when they try to tarnish what's come before it. Like, if they were to make something just before the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings, and they try and make Aragorn like a little bit, you know what I mean? Like they try to break what they've already done. That's what really gets that grinds my gears.
Or if they do it after the movie as well, and they're like, actually
he died alone and sad, and Arwen actually like left him for the Undying Light. Like, if they do stuff like that, that's when
Samwise Gamgee, we thought there was a go away from a home, but actually his partner was along the way the whole time, and so that, they could corrupt things so easily.
The corruption. Yes. The
corruption is unparalleled. They go on to talk about how, Tolkien's works have been a bit dicey. They've been having legal battles with the estate of Tolkien for a couple of years. Finally, it's been settled. And there's also the fact that...
Well, that's interesting, because from what I understand, my understanding of the situation is that Tolkien's son, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, forgive me, he was very protective about the Tolkien's work. but he passed away not too long ago, and that's when Amazon got Rings of Power.
So here's the thing. Amazon, they have the rights to a TV show.
Right.
Warner Brothers still have the rights to feature-length films.
Yes. But when Tolkien's son was still alive, there was a lot more control about how things were done.
Yes.
But now that he's gone, the estate's kind of just like, money. We want money.
Let's go.
Let's do everything.
Yep.
And
green light, green light, green light.
so now that's put us in this position where there may be a lot more Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings, Silmarillion, everything coming in the future that is nowhere near the quality of Jackson's original trilogy.
Or nowhere near the quality of Tolkien's work, which they should be inspiring from. Anyway, there's a funny part in this article, right, where they... Basically, I'm going to read it to you, okay? So, Amazon holds the TV rights to Lord of the Rings with its mega budget Rings of Power debuting last year. Absolute flop. We all hated it. Thank you for watching our reviews. One question the new series of films will face is how to convince audiences to go to the theater if they can get their fix at home.
I don't understand.
Whoever wrote this article, I'm sorry, but you are brain dead and not understanding that nobody got their fix from Rings of Power. And here's the frustrating thing, right? Hollywood has this issue where they're being all like, no one wants to go to the cinema anymore. Cinemas are dead. Streaming services and watching things in your home, that's the future of entertainment. We're all screwed.
Do you want to know how to make money? I'm gonna give you Amazon, Warner Brothers, CEOs. I know all of you are watching right now. I know every single one of you is watching.
You all watch our videos. Thank you for watching.
I'm going to give you a business tip. You see, once you've released your terrible, terrible Rings of Power shows, when you've released your absolute dog shite Matrix reboots, when you release all these things, you know what you should do? You should put the original movies, the Jackson trilogy, the original Matrix movies, you should start showing them in cinemas, and you will make bank. Like when they put out the Star Wars sequels, or they put out, what was it, Book of Boba Fett. They should have put things like Revenge of the Sith in the cinema, and you will make money, because there's so many people at home watching these terrible, terrible things that they really don't like, and they just want to, they hunger for the stuff they love.
Yeah.
And they want to watch it just one more time. Just one more time in the cinema. Having some popcorn, having your drink next to you, having some idiot on his phone down the couple of aisles.
But it's okay. You can't hear him because of the action and excitement happening in front of you on a massive giant TV screen or movie screen.
That's how you're going to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. So like
they're doing the first part, but they're forgetting to do the second part.
Or the smarter thing, right, is to release things and like the reason why your movies and stuff aren't performing well in cinemas is because no one's going to watch it. Like, it's not interesting to them. You're not marketing it. Like,
it's not the cinema's fault.
No.
It's your fault.
It is. You're the problem. You are the problem.
You are the problem.
You are the problem. But like 100%, I reckon if they did the Lord of the Rings trilogy back in the cinemas when Rings of Power was coming out, and you compared the sales and watch between two, I think Lord of the Rings probably would have been a lot higher, especially with those extended cuts.
Yeah.
Like, you would have had people going out dressed like it. And here's the thing, right? A funny thing that people would tend to forget after all these lockdowns and restrictions happened, humans, we're social creatures. I know we are kind of...
We're not.
We're less of.
We're
but
really
still,
not.
like, I still get a kick out of going to, like, and I haven't gone on ages, like going to midnight launches for like games and movies and whatever, and like everyone's dressed up and, you know, being around cosplayers and people who just, that energy, okay, is actually very fulfilling for me. It feels like I'm part of a fandom community where nowadays it's like, okay, we watch this thing on Amazon, we go online, everyone hates it. There's just this negative energy all the time, and everyone's wondering, why is this bad? Like, no one's liking what we're doing. Because one, you're basically dividing the community. Like, when Rings of Power came out, you had these people...
The fandoms are split.
Like,
and then you had giant websites who've been, like...
paid off to say otherwise. So if...
Professors. There was, like, YouTube professors coming and saying,
Rings
like... Rings of Power is actually accurate. No, it's actually this. And it's like...
Yeah,
bro, you're
that
supposed
was
to be a professor?
Messed up.
That stuff really...
But yeah, so just this little segment here, I know this is the writer of the article basically saying this, but I think we all need to remember that, like, I think we would all happily go to the cinema if it means we're going to go see a good movie.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I'm not going to see the new Matrix movie because that movie didn't look like interesting at all. And like I tapped out after the first like 2 minutes, realizing how meta it was.
I tapped out on the trailer after I saw the trailer.
Yeah. I just had to start watching it just to see how bad it was, and it was bad. But if you give us a lore accurate, fun story, respecting of Tolkien's work, with good quality, storytelling, visual effects, honest marketing, in cinemas, you will be the biggest blockbuster of the year. Easy. Like Avatar, Way of Water, only available in cinemas, has easily made the money back.
Yeah.
And that was in cinemas. That was a success. So there's proof still that people will go to the movies to watch your movie.
It still surprises me that so many people wanted to watch that.
Yeah. Again, it was... if they watched it at home, right, I think more people would have been like, it's all right.
That's
it was
really
the
true.
Experience.
It was.
It was, again, the social experience. It's going to IMAX, seeing it on the big screen. Like,
Fair.
half of the things that I think people are forgetting is that movies are meant to be shown in theatre.
Movies are an experience.
They are, though. They are. And it sucks when you go to that experience and the experience wasn't good because the movie that you made that was meant for that experience wasn't good either. But yeah, going back to the topic of this article, basically they're saying that we're working on new franchises in the Tolkien universe. I'm guessing they're going to stay away from the Second Age because Amazon kind of has that down pat in a very awful way. And I think it makes sense for them to like separate themselves from Amazon. Like,
I think it would be hilarious if they did something in the Second Age. And the thing is, it's like one of those things, like, I literally don't think you could do worse. So anything that they could ever do in the Second Age, I think would be better.
Because does WB have the right to the Silmarillion? Because if they did...
I don't know.
If they did, and they did a movie on that, and it was like the book...
That's what I mean. It's like so
you would make
funny.
So much money. And
Amazon taking $100 million fucking...
It was $1 billion.
$100 billion L. No, they already took one, but I mean, like, they would take it even harder then because it's another company doing it.
So, look, I think we're a bit skeptical because of what WB's done more recently and the climate they are in. Very skeptical.
We are very skeptical.
But I think there is a awesome opportunity to actually have a big W for both fans and for a company that is obviously struggling a bit.
But that's not going to happen. I would love to be proven wrong. I would be like, yes, guys, I was wrong. They did something that we love. It's something that's good. It's going to unite the fandoms. But it's not going to happen. If it does, I mean, hey.
All I'm saying is there's opportunity here. I kind of agree with you partially because the way that they say, we're not touching Jackson's trilogy is also kind of their way of saying he's not coming back either.
Exactly.
We're not touching him. And basically anyone who worked on the original like trilogy, I don't think are going to be hired to work on this newer stuff.
Exactly.
And so...
And you got to remember, all right, so something to remember about all of these sorts of things is that everything that's ever been made is always, to some degree, a product of its time. Things are made in their own cultural bubble.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings was made in a time when society was very different.
Yeah.
These days, even if they're people who, like, don't want to be political, even if there's still going to be things that are very different. Things will feel different. Things will be different because of just the time period that things are made. And we're at a time period where things that are being made now are just, there's always something. There's always something in them. Whether it's subversive messaging, whether it's political, just straight up political stuff, whether it's activism that's been disguised as, thought-provoking and story. Like, there's always something at this point.
Yeah, look, I don't know.
I'm super black-pilled today. Sorry, guys.
No, but like, it's true, because, like, in terms of staying on watch, okay, this isn't as depressing as the Rings of Power stuff.
Yes.
Like, whenever we read those articles, the things that they say, those showrunners say, it is the most frustrating... infuriating comments you've ever read.
See, the thing is, it's like, I would agree with that, But when it comes down to this, I'm always thinking like, oh, well, Warner Bros. Hasn't really done anything that's really, you know, been absolutely egregious. Like, then I think DC, I think, well,
The Flash movie is coming out.
yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, they have done these things and they are doing these things. They are just as bad as all these other companies that we talk about. And so I just don't have any faith. Black pill, just black pill today for me. Sorry,
and
guys.
as well, remember, this is also to basically a boardroom of directors who are basically asking, what are you doing with our money? How are we going to return on investment? And these are basically CEOs going back saying, okay, how do we make money before? Okay, this franchise is really good. We're going to make more of that money that we were printing before.
Yeah.
This is their kind of excuse. They haven't actually done anything yet. They haven't set things up. We have no trailers. We have no marketing. This isn't meant for us as the consumers yet. This is basically just an excuse to buy yourself more time.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's everything.
that's everything. I just doubt that you can't get that same spark and energy you had with Peter Jackson's trilogy.
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't.
Like you said before, it's an environmental thing. That ship is like sailed. You can't do that anymore.
Let us know what you think down below. Are you excited? Are you excited for everything that's to come? All the reboots and sequels and continuations and probably some prequels and all of it. I'm not. Nathan's kind of on the fence. Remember to support us. Down below all the things. Do the things with the
Buy
things.
our merch.
We'd love that, guys. Thank you. But yeah, I think that's everything for today.
That is everything. So we hope you all have a wonderful day. But as always, stay on watch.